All right, let's talk about failure. Not the kind of small misstep, but the kind that knocks you flat on your back publicly, spectacularly, the kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew about yourself, about your path. For most people, that's the end, a career-ending defeat. But for me, for Steve Jobs, it was something else entirely. It was the ultimate fuel. I remember saying it years later, looking back. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Think about that for a moment. Imagine hitting rock bottom, publicly ousted from the very company you built from the ground up, the company that bore your vision, your passion, your life's work. The headlines screamed, the industry whispered. It was devastating. For a time, I felt like I had dropped the baton, like I had let down a whole generation of entrepreneurs. The heaviness of that failure, the public humiliation, it was immense. It was a wound that cut deep, a betrayal that stung. But what I learned, what I lived through that period, was something profound. It was the birth of what I now call the Phoenix Principle. This principle isn't about avoiding failure. It's about embracing it. It's about understanding that those moments of profound setback, those times when you're burned to ashes, are not the end. They are, in fact, the essential transformative steps for reinvention. They are the crucible where deep learning happens, where you're forced to shed everything that isn't essential, and where you find the clarity to strategically redirect yourself towards greater opportunities. It's about an unwavering commitment to resilience, a stubborn, almost irrational perseverance in the face of adversity that would make most people quit. It's about the belief that even when everything seems lost, there's a seed of something new, something stronger, waiting to emerge from the wreckage. You see, my life, my career was punctuated by these moments. Dropping out of college, the commercial struggles of the Apple Lisa, and of course that dramatic public ouster from Apple in 1985. These weren't minor hurdles. These were deeply personal, highly public failures that could have, should have broken me. They were moments of intense pain, doubt, and isolation, but they didn't. Instead, they became the very catalyst that propelled me forward. They allowed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life, immediately following my most significant professional setback. I firmly believed, and I still believe, that about half of what separates successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance. It's not just about talent or ideas, or even capital. It's about how much you're willing to take, how many times you're willing to get knocked down, and how quickly you're willing to get back up, dust yourself off, and keep fighting. That's the Phoenix Principle in action. It's the understanding that sometimes you have to burn it all down to build something truly magnificent from the ashes. It's about seeing the fire not as destruction, but as purification. Let me walk you through some of these fires, these moments where the Phoenix Principle truly defined my journey. The most dramatic, the most public, and arguably the most transformative example of the Phoenix Principle in my life was my ousting from Apple in 1985. Imagine it, I was ousted from Apple, the company he had built from the ground up, the company that was my identity, my passion, my life's work. It was a devastating public blow. The board, the very people I had brought in, decided I was too difficult, too uncompromising, too much of a visionary for their comfort. They wanted stability, predictability. I wanted to make a dent in the universe, and so they pushed me out. It was a betrayal that cut deeper than any financial loss. It was a public humiliation that echoed across the industry. For a time, I felt like a pariah, a failure who had lost his way. For a time, I was lost. I felt like a failure. I felt like I had let everyone down. The weight of that public rejection was crushing. I wondered, I questioned, I doubted. But instead of capitulating, instead of retreating into bitterness or despair, I strategically used this period. This rejection, this profound setback, became a powerful catalyst for reinventing and refining work. It forced me to look inward, to question everything, to strip away the layers of expectation and ego that had built up around me. It was a painful process, a period of intense introspection and self-discovery, but it was necessary. It was during this time, this period of exile, that I truly began to understand the power of starting over, of being a beginner again. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by a lightness, a freedom to explore without the immense pressure of a multi-billion-dollar company on my shoulders. This was not a retreat. It was a strategic regrouping, a recalibration of my purpose and my methods. Immediately after leaving Apple, I didn't just sit around. I didn't wallow in self-pity. I knew I had to create, to build. I embarked on new ventures. I founded Next Computer, and I acquired the graphics group, which I later renamed Pixar Animation Studios. Now Next faced its own commercial challenges. It was a beautiful machine, a technological marvel, a workstation designed for higher education and scientific research. It was ahead of its time in many ways, with its object-oriented operating system, its advanced graphics, its focus on elegant design. But it was expensive, perhaps too expensive, and its market adoption was limited. It wasn't an immediate commercial success in the way Apple products would later become. It was another struggle, another fire to walk through. There were moments of doubt, moments where the financial pressures were immense. But here's the thing, its innovative technology, its operating system. Next Step later became the foundational operating system for Mac OS X. Apple, the company that fired me, eventually bought Next, bringing me back into the fold, and bringing Next's technology with me. It was a full circle, a testament to the long game, to the idea that even perceived failures can lay the groundwork for future triumphs. The very technology I developed in exile became the bedrock upon which Apple's resurgence was built. And then there was Pixar. When I acquired the graphics group, it was a small, struggling computer graphics company. It was a division of Lucasfilm, and George Lucas was looking to sell it off. It was a significant financial risk for me, personally. I poured millions of my own dollars into it, keeping it afloat during its early lean years. People thought I was crazy. What did I know about animation? What did I know about making movies? But I saw something there, a spark, a potential for storytelling that went beyond anything that had been done before. I saw the raw talent of John Lasseter, Ed Catmull, and the incredible team they were building. I saw the future of animation, a future where computers could bring stories to life in ways never before imagined. Under my leadership, and with the incredible talent of that team, Pixar blossomed into a giant in the animation industry, producing hits like Toy Story, the first feature-length computer-animated film, followed by A Bug's Life, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, and so many more. These successful ventures, Next and Pixar, were direct transformative outcomes of my failure at Apple. They were the phoenix rising from the ashes, proving that sometimes the greatest opportunities emerge from the deepest valleys. They taught me invaluable lessons about building teams, about managing creative talent, about the power of storytelling, and about the long-term vision required to build something truly lasting. They also gave me a new perspective, a broader understanding of the creative process that I would bring back to Apple. But my journey through fire started even earlier. The Apple Lisa's struggles also provided me with valuable lessons. The Lisa was an initial product failure. It was ambitious, groundbreaking in many ways, one of the first personal computers to feature a graphical user interface and a mouse. It was a technological marvel, a bold leap forward, but it was too expensive, too slow, and ultimately it didn't resonate with the market. It involved considerable risks and setbacks. I poured my heart and soul into that project, and to see it fail commercially was a bitter pill to swallow. While not as publicly dramatic as my ouster, it served as an early lesson in the importance of adapting and improving based on market feedback. It taught me that even with the best intentions, even with revolutionary technology, you have to listen, you have to learn, and you have to be willing to pivot. It was a painful lesson in humility, a reminder that even a visionary can be wrong, and that the market always has the final say. But it wasn't a wasted effort. The lessons learned from the Lisa, the technological groundwork laid, the insights gained into user interface design, all informed the development of the Macintosh, making it a far more successful product. Every mistake, every misstep was a stepping stone. And then there's my decision to drop out of Reed College. By traditional societal measures, that was a failure. A young man, bright, ambitious, walking away from a prestigious institution. My parents, who had sacrificed so much for my education, must have been heartbroken. They wanted me to have a conventional path, a secure future, but I knew, deep down, that the conventional path wasn't for me. I was restless, curious, hungry for something more. So I dropped out. but I didn't leave. My subsequent decision to audit classes that interested me, seemingly without practical purpose, like that calligraphy class, later laid the groundwork for his innovative approach to technology and profoundly influenced the elegant typography of the Macintosh. Who would have thought that learning about serifs and sans serifs, about the spacing between letters, about the beauty of type, would become so critical to making computers feel more human, more beautiful, more accessible? It was a seemingly random dot that a decade later connected in the most profound way. This demonstrates how seemingly unproductive periods, seemingly random dots, can later provide crucial connections to future successes. It taught me to trust my intuition, to follow my curiosity, even when the path wasn't clear, even when it didn't seem to lead anywhere immediately. Because sometimes the most important lessons are learned outside the conventional classroom, in the pursuit of pure passion, in the exploration of seemingly unrelated fields. These experiences, these dots, were not failures in the traditional sense, but rather unconventional detours that enriched my perspective and ultimately fueled my unique approach to design and innovation. This journey through failure, this constant cycle of setback and reinvention, led to a crucial psychological shift within me. I remember reflecting on being fired from Apple, and the profound realization that hit me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. Think about that. The burden of expectation, the pressure to constantly top myself, the weight of being Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. It was immense. When that was stripped away, when I was just a guy with some ideas and a burning desire to create, it was liberating. This statement highlights a profound internal transformation, where failure was perceived not as a punishment, but as a liberation from the immense burden of expectation associated with prior success. This psychological reset was pivotal. It allowed me to shed the ego, to rediscover the pure joy of creation, unburdened by the need to maintain a certain image or live up to past glories. It was in that lightness that true creativity flourished. It was a chance to rebuild, not just a company, but myself, from the ground up, with a newfound clarity and purpose. This approach, this mindset, aligns remarkably with the Stoic philosophy encapsulated in the phrase, "The obstacle is the way." This philosophy posits that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. I truly embodied this. I didn't just endure obstacles and failures. I viewed them as opportunities to practice virtues, such as perseverance, resourcefulness, and creativity. When the door slammed shut at Apple, I didn't just stand there. I looked for another door, or I built a new one. When Next struggled commercially, I didn't give up on the technology. I found a way for it to live on, to become the foundation of something even greater. Every setback was a challenge, yes, but also an invitation to find a new path, to dig deeper, to innovate in ways I might never have considered if things had gone smoothly. The obstacle wasn't something to be avoided. It was the very path forward. It was the resistance that made me stronger, the friction that sparked new ideas. It was the understanding that true growth often comes from confronting, not avoiding, the very things that stand in your way. My journey also underscores the importance of embracing failure as a learning opportunity. My career teaches the significance of overcoming creative blocks, and that revisions are where good stories become great. It emphasizes the iterative process of assessing what does not work, pivoting when necessary, and actively embracing feedback to refine and improve. I learned that perfection isn't achieved in a single stroke. It's the result of countless iterations, countless failures, countless refinements. Every bug, every misstep, every product that didn't quite hit the mark was a lesson. It was data. It was an opportunity to go back to the drawing board, to rethink, to improve. That's how you get to insanely great. You don't get there by being perfect from the start. You get there by being relentlessly committed to improvement, by learning from every single mistake, by seeing every flaw as an opportunity for refinement. It's a continuous cycle of creation, testing, failure, learning, and then creating again, better than before. The public and profound nature of my failures, particularly my ousting from my own company, forced a radical re-evaluation and a deep psychological psychological reset, this intense pressure, and the subsequent lightness of being a beginner. That was the cause. It directly catalyzed my most creative and transformative ventures, namely Next and Pixar. These new experiences and ventures, in turn, provided the essential intellectual property and leadership experience that was the mechanism necessary for Apple's eventual unprecedented resurgence. That was the effect. This demonstrates that the severity of the failure was key to the depth of the transformation, enabling me to shed the heaviness of success and rediscover my core passion in a new, unburdened way. It was a painful, necessary stripping away of everything that wasn't truly me, everything that wasn't truly essential to my purpose. And from that raw, vulnerable place, I was able to build something stronger, more resilient, and ultimately more impactful than ever before. It was the ultimate proof that sometimes you have to lose everything to gain everything. So what can you take away from this? How can you apply this Phoenix principle in your own life, in your own work, in your own organization? First, you must reframe failure as fuel. This is perhaps the most critical shift in mindset. It involves viewing setbacks not as endpoints, not as reasons to give up, but as essential data points and opportunities for learning and reinvention. The key question to ask yourself every single time you stumble, every single time something doesn't go your way, is what can this failure teach me? Don't just brush it aside. Don't just wallow in it. Analyze it, dissect it, extract every single lesson you can from it. Because those lessons, those insights gained from the hard knocks, are far more valuable than any success achieved without struggle. They are the fuel that will propel you forward, stronger and wiser than before. They are the blueprints for your next greater success. They are the scars that tell a story of resilience and growth. Second, it is vital to cultivate resilience. This means developing the mental toughness to bounce back from adversity, understanding that perseverance is a key differentiator for long-term success. Life is going to throw punches. Business is going to throw punches. You're going to face rejection, criticism, and moments where you feel like giving up. Resilience isn't about not feeling the pain. It's about feeling, acknowledging it, and then choosing to keep going. It's about that stubborn refusal to quit, that deep-seated belief in your vision that allows you to absorb the blows and keep moving forward. It's about understanding that every time you get back up, you're building a stronger foundation for your future success. It's about the grit, the determination, the sheer force of will that allows you to push through when everyone else would have given up. It's not a passive trait. It's an active choice, a muscle you build with every challenge you overcome. Third, when faced with a major setback, it is profoundly beneficial to embrace the beginner's mindset. Allow yourself the lightness of being a beginner again. This can liberate you from past expectations, from the burden of your own perceived successes, and unlock new creative periods. When I was fired from Apple, I was no longer Steve Jobs, the founder. I was just Steve, a guy with a passion for technology and design, looking for his next challenge. That freedom, that lack of external pressure, allowed me to think differently, to experiment, to take risks I might not have taken if I was still burdened by the heaviness of success. So when you face a setback, don't cling to what was. Embrace the opportunity to start fresh, to learn anew, to approach problems with the curiosity and openness of someone who has nothing to lose. It's about shedding the ego, letting go of preconceived notions, and approaching every challenge with fresh eyes and an open mind. This mindset is a powerful antidote to complacency and a catalyst for true innovation. Finally, you must seek new ventures from adversity. Don't be afraid to pivot or start something new in the wake of a failure. Often, the skills and insights gained from a failed venture become the unexpected foundation for future, greater success. Next wasn't a commercial hit, but its technology became the backbone of Apple's future. Pixar was a gamble, born from my exile, but it became a global powerhouse. Your failures are not dead ends. They are detours. They are training grounds. They are incubators for new ideas and new strengths. So when one door closes, don't just stare at it. Look for another door. Or better yet, build a new one. Use the lessons, the connections, the resilience you've gained to launch yourself into something entirely new, something that might just be your greatest triumph yet. It's about seeing the opportunity in the wreckage, the potential in the pivot. It's about understanding that sometimes the greatest leaps forward come after you've been forced to take a step back. My Life, My Journey stands as a powerful testament to the Phoenix principle. It demonstrates that true success often emerges from the ashes of profound failure. My story reminds us that failure is not the end, but rather an opportunity to learn and grow. It's about understanding that the path to greatness is rarely a straight line. It's filled with twists, turns, and moments where you feel utterly defeated. But it's in those moments, in those fires, that you forge the strength, the clarity,
and the wisdom to rise again, stronger and more brilliant than before. It's about the courage to face the fire, to endure the heat, and to emerge transformed. It's about the unwavering belief that even when you're at your lowest, your greatest comeback is just around the corner, waiting for you to ignite it. So I challenge you, look at your own experiences, look at your own setbacks. How will you transform your next setback into your greatest comeback? What fuel can you extract from past failures to propel your future endeavors? Don't fear the fire, embrace it, because sometimes it's only when you're burned to ashes that you truly discover your power to rise. It's in those moments of profound loss that you find the true essence of your purpose, the unshakable core of who you are, and the boundless potential to create something new, something extraordinary, something that truly makes a dent in the universe.